We've been talking a lot about battery transport. So packaging up batteries in a box, shipping it off to wherever it's going. That stuff's all regulated by the Department of Transportation, but there's certainly other use cases of lithium batteries where safety is involved. And so that would be number one is storage, and number two is actually just on-site handling of lithium batteries. So the storage is not really something that's going to be regulated by OSHA. The storage is going to be more coming down to what we call the authority having jurisdiction. So the AHJ is just sort of the fancy regulatory word for usually it's your local fire marshal, fire department, fire chief, whoever that is. So within each municipality, within each jurisdiction, they're going to have a single person who has the authority to say, yes, that storage configuration is good, or no, that storage configuration is a problem. So we talked about the patchwork element as it relates to storage here in the United States. Typically, the trend is fire chiefs around the country, adopting the International Fire Code, the 2024 International Fire Code, which does have those best practices for on-site storage of batteries, including different fire suppression requirements, sprinkler systems, radiant heat detection, smoke alarms, and then it also goes into certain requirements around building fire barriers or having separate battery rooms to kind of lock off the batteries from the rest of the facility. So from the storage side, that's going to be mainly fire chiefs around the country and whatever jurisdiction you're in are going to be responsible for giving approval on battery storage at your facility. The other side of it is the handling side, or kind of just use of batteries on site. This is especially important for electric vehicles because you have plenty of operators and technicians that work around electric vehicles all day, every day, that remove batteries from an electric vehicle, that do repairs on electric vehicles. And so if you are exposed to lithium batteries at the workplace, that becomes a potential workplace hazard. And anytime you're talking about workplace hazards, you're going to see OSHA get involved. So that's the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. So they are responsible for protecting America's workforce from on-site hazards. What you'll notice with OSHA is their requirements on handling of lithium batteries are not very mature at all. This is something I'm pretty sure that they're working on. But the main concerns around batteries, well, the challenge that they have is different batteries pose different hazards. So it would be nearly impossible for them to write one code to say, here's how you must handle batteries safely, because there's no one universal way to handle batteries safely, because like I said, the batteries have different hazards, different elements to them, different safety features. So it's not a one size fits all thing. But within the electric vehicle space, it is really important to make sure that your teams know the hazards associated with batteries and are very, very careful around working with electric vehicles. So electric vehicles oftentimes are high voltage battery packs, and so if you have conductive materials, if you are doing things incorrectly, if you're using metal tools instead of other or conductive metal tools, this is something that you can absolutely be exposed to a very, very high level electrical shock. So if you're working around the high voltage electric vehicle packs, there's a whole bunch of different things you want to make sure you're doing in terms of personal protective equipment. That's everything from face shields. That's emergency response procedures. Non-conductive material is super important here. You don't just grab any screwdriver off the shelf and go work on your battery. It has to be non-conductive, because once you get conductive materials involved in electricity, problems happen. It goes even as far as clothing. I've been in sites where you can't wear belts. I usually have to remove my wedding ring, which I don't know if palladium is conductive or not. But it's something that you need to be extra careful to get all conductive materials away, because once you start having, like I said, conductive materials around electricity, that's a major problem. So that's really important from the EV side. If you're dealing with lithium batteries on site that are not the high voltage packs, oftentimes there's a lot less risk that goes into that. If I'm, power bank would be a good example. If I'm handling a power bank, there's not really too much I can do to mess up or to mess with it. Where you really need to get involved from the OSHA side is if you have employees that are repairing batteries, that are taking batteries apart, that are doing any sort of like lab testing on batteries. Those employees absolutely need to be very well trained on the hazards of batteries and what to do in terms of emergency response. If your employees on the other side are just, for example, are carrying power tools around, they don't necessarily need a huge safety training. They would just need to understand that, okay, the pack in that power drill is a lithium-ion battery pack. It's 70 watt hours. It's going to be safe 99.99999% of the time, but just don't abuse it. Don't expose it to high heat. Don't throw it around. Don't play catch with it. Normal kind of common sense things. But really, from the OSHA side, I think where they're mainly focused, or where my clients as well are mainly focused, is the handling and use of electric vehicle batteries, because they are high voltage packs, and those types of packs can absolutely cause major injury or even kill people if you're exposed to that type of electric shock. So you have a general responsibility to train your employees about how to handle those hazards and avoid any sort of risky behavior. It's up to each individual employer to make sure that their employees are safe from lithium battery hazards.